Overtime in Carolina after a late Chase McLaughlin tied it nearing the end of regulation. Chase McLaughlin to win it from 30. Chasen wins, and a massive one at that. Now 6-6, a big victory from behind with the game on the line. Baker leads a drive down the field to set up the tire. They get the ball first in overtime. Didn't do anything with it there. Got it back and got a game winner. 26-23, McLaughlin plays hero. A gutsy performance for Mayfield, who left this one with an apparent ankle injury.
But came back.
And came back in, made the biggest difference for his team. Back in studio here to chat this one, Mac. Obviously, you get things done in overtime, which is not always a story told when Baker Mayfield makes it to OT. A little bit more on that in a bit here, but this is urgency. This is recognition of the moment. This is, oh no, we just lost. No, we didn't. 30 seconds left is plenty of time by Baker Mayfield. What'd you see? He's just the grittiest competitor. It's so much fun to watch him play this game.
No question, man. Baker Mayfield is like that cousin you have who's a bit undersized, but every time you go outside in the yard and wrestle, he's going to make you sweat. And he never gives up. And you're like, yo, I don't want to wrestle you anymore. He keeps coming. That's who Baker Mayfield is, because for the entirety of his football life, he's been told he's not good enough, he's not big enough. He has that mentality in which he has to show you, I am better than what you think I am, and there's no quit in Baker, and I love it. And I can tell you this much, Joe, going into today's matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? You look at what they're facing in terms of playoff implications and having aspirations to get into the tournament, not to mention you're chasing the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC South, I'm sorry. This was potentially a trap game because Carolina was playing some really, really good football, inspired football led by their young quarterback, Bryce Young. Most people felt like this was a gimme. When you look at the line, I think it was anywhere north of 6 points, 6.5, depending on where you were shopping. Many felt like this was a great game for Baker to continue to do what he's been doing, which has been dominating. No, divisional matchups are like is like rivalry football in college. Throw records and resumes out of the window because anything can happen. And for Tampa, throughout this ball game, it felt like they were on the cusp of getting punched in the mouth and falling down. But they took some blows. They found ways to make plays. And to your point, what led to that game-winning field goal in overtime was a massive play by their defense, forcing a fumble on Chuba Hubbard at a point where Carolina was rolling. They were really on the cusp of being in field goal range,
on the edge,
right there on the edge, even though they had some kicking issues as well. There you have it right there. Great play. Because you look at what the ball is, they're already in field goal range. Of course, they're trying to get some extra yards to make it a more manageable field goal attempt. Someone made a play. That's the Tampa Bay mentality. Someone has to make a play in critical moments to be able to come out with this game on top, and they were able to do so.
That was in a next score win scenario there, so the field goal
would have won it for Carolina.
It was an amazing play by the Tampa Bay defense when they needed it most. Carolina obviously wants to win in this instance, but you got a young quarterback. You're playing better football than we've seen over the last however long. Hard to feel good coming off a loss, especially one in this ilk. But what have you seen differently from Bryce Young? He is playing with such confidence right now, leads what could have been a game-winning drive in that fourth quarter. Calm, cool, collected, delivering the football. It seems like a completely different individual than the one that was sat about a month and a half ago.
And that's the thing. It feels like the Bryce Young we're watching right now is Bryce Young in 2026. Like he's been in the league for a few years and he's figured it out.
Those 2 weeks aged him mightily as well.
Yes, dog years. Right?
Dog years on the sit-down.
He's been aged in football terms, dog years when he sat down and he lost his job and he was forced to watch from the sideline. And sometimes that's what some of these young quarterbacks need. Like organizations oftentimes do a disservice for some of these young quarterbacks because they got drafted super high. We throw you into action right now. No, they might not be ready. The best quarterback in our game today is Pat Mahomes. He didn't initially start when he was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. He had the luxury of sitting and waiting and learning, right? That helped him in terms of understanding and knowing what it takes, what it means to be consistent and how he has to go about his business. What we're seeing from Bryce Young is a guy, first and foremost, I'd be remiss if I don't applaud his offensive line, because they've done a better job in protecting the young quarterback. We saw what happened last year. We saw how the beginning of the season started with the inability of his offensive line to protect him. They protect him nicely. Secondly, Bryce Young has calmed down. He's not pressing. And the best thing about Bryce Young is his knowledge to throw the football away instead of trying to force the ball in tight spots, which creates turnovers. They sent the house at Bryce Young. Everything, kitchen sink, sofa, everything. He was getting the football out of his hands, or he was getting it and throwing in rhythm to his pass catchers.
Yeah.
This is a guy, he has matured mightily since being benched. And I can tell you this much, I don't know exactly what the QB plans were for Carolina.
A lot of people were
moving
saying
forward.
A lot of people were saying last snap. We've seen the last snap as a Carolina
That's what
Panther.
a lot of people were saying. They were like, they're ready to kick the tires on him and saying he might need to go elsewhere. But I can tell you this much, there's a lot of football left to be played. But the young fella is potentially playing himself in position to be the quarterback moving forward for the Panthers after 2024. And it won't be a situation where he was given the job like he was handed the job when he was drafted. Right now, he is earning that opportunity. Unfortunately, they lost. But I can tell you this much, who led them to that touchdown? To go up, right?
Could have been
Bryce Young.
Should have been a game winner.
Should have been a game winner. Unfortunately, Baker had enough time on the clock. So Bryce Young, man, tip your hat to a guy who's faced a lot of adversity, been criticized from left and right, talk about he's undersized, he looks like he shouldn't be a starting quarterback, everything.
And you don't like the new kickoff rule.
I hate the new kickoff rule. Real quick, I got to vent real quick.
This isn't going to be quick, but go ahead.
Think about this. If the kickers kick the ball in the end zone, offensively, they instantly get the ball on the 30-yard line. Think about this as defenders. In that situation, Carolina, they were up 3 points. Just because they kicked the ball in the end zone, they got plus field position to jumpstart a potential game-time drive.
You're 25 yards from a big leg.
2 passes.
You're 25 yards from a big leg.
2 passes.
I hear you. I'm not on the rules committee, but I hear you.
Roger Goodell, help us out. We know y'all want to see points. He want to see points. I sometimes want to see points. Y'all want to see points all the time, but help us out. As soon as we get on the football field, we got to prevent them from getting in field goal range. All they got to make is 2 passes.
30 seconds goes a lot longer.
We're standing on our heels, on eggshells. We can't even move because if we hit them too soon, flag. You're too passive, catch, completion. I'm sorry, I just had to vent real quick because I told Joe, I said, Joe, look, they got the ball already in plus territory, potentially. All they got to do is complete 2 passes. They're in the field goal range.
You give a defensive back room to complain. You know they're gonna, but he's also,
we give analysis and we vent also. You guys know I'm not wrong. I'm not lying.
You make great points.
Tell them the truth.
Bryant McFadden,
Thank you, sir.
A speaker of truth. We appreciate you as always.
For all
we got more
defenders
coming
out
here
there.
on Game Day.
I am here for defenders.
Buccaneers past 6 games. Trying to get the job done here. Obviously, your 2 star wide receivers go down in a short amount of time. Everyone said, man, this Bucs season, chalk it up. Well, you could chalk it up to a potential division title. That thing's still wide open, and the Bucs with a foot in the door and the lead in the division.